So I picked this boat up about a year ago, and I've done a lot to it since I bought it, and I haven't really showed you guys much on it so far. When I bought this boat, the gel coat was absolutely destroyed, and I made a video showing you guys restoring it a little bit. It ended up fading a little bit again, so I had it redone this winter, and it looks a lot better than what it does, or what it did before, but still not perfect. And then I've done a ton of upgrades since. The carpet was shot, there was no good electronics on it, no Ultrex on it, no graph mounts and all that. So there has been a ton of work done to this boat since I bought it. So I figured now was a good time to show you exactly what was done and how I have this boat set up, and just give you a full-on boat tour now. So starting off, like I said, I had my gel coat restored. Before, it was super pitted. The black was almost gray on the boat, or white because of how pitted it was. So I had it redone, and as you guys can tell, it's a lot better. It's smoother than what it was. It's not pitted anymore. It does have a little bit of an odd color to it if you get really, really close, but unless you're right up on it looking at it, you cannot tell that there's been any gel coat damage on it before. So it looks really good. That's the first thing I had done to it. The next thing I had done after I had the gel coat worked on is here recently, I got my boat carpet completely redone. The carpet before was super faded. It was almost black because of all the weathering it had. So it was black most of the ways. There were some white spots from where it was heavily used. There were some tears in it. So I just had it completely redone. And I also had a padded front deck put on right here. So up here, I've got a padded front deck, have all new carpet. I'll show you in a second. I had a coin box put in between my seats. It had a nasty old seat in it before, so I ended up having that taken out. They custom fabricated me a wood piece that went in between my seats, and it's a flat piece, like an L-shaped wood piece that they've then glassed over top of it, carpeted it, and then mounted my coin box on top of it. So then that, I just recently had all that done, and now let's just hop into all the upgrades I've done and how I have my boat set up and pretty much what's in each compartment. So first off, back here, I've got a Mercury Optimax Pro Xs 175. This is a Ranger 188. Most of these come with a 150 on them. They're rated up to a 175 though. So when I saw that this one had a 175, that's really what made my mind on what getting this one compared to some of the other ones. So this has 175 on it. It goes about 58, 59 mile per hour with loaded down with one person in it. If I take all my stuff out, I can hit 60 in it. But I also have dual power poles on here. They're Pro Series 2s. They're a little bit older. Pumps rebuild them a little bit this winter, but they still work great. And it's really nice having some power poles on here, especially dual power poles. It's the first boat I had with dual power poles, and it helps a lot whenever you're retying in shallow water, or if you're wanting to fish a shallow flat or something like that. I love them. So that's right back there. Another thing I had to redo here recently, or late last year, is I put all new batteries in here. I've got a AGM Group 31 Duracell here for my cranking battery, and that's what all my electronics are run off of. And then I've got two just cheap lead acid Group 31 batteries for my trolling motor. So that's basically all back here. There's nothing special back here. Got my power pole pumps, and that's about it. So let's work to these compartments that are under me right here. So of course, right here are both my live wells. Not gonna show you that, nothing too special about it. But behind my seats, I've got both of these two compartments. You guys can kind of see in them. There's nothing special. Right here, I've got pretty much life jackets, my ropes, any type of tools. I've got some fuel treatment in here, and maybe some extra oil and stuff that I typically keep a bottle of in here. Pretty much any spare tools or parts, and any type of just liquid that I need is in there. That way I don't get it on all my other stuff. And here I've got some more life jackets, tow ropes, weigh-in bag, some cleaner to wipe my boat down when I'm done. I've got usually my coal tags in here. And then I also usually have stuff like, I've got a jumper kit in here, my flare in here, all my safety gears in here, just so I know all my safety stuff and all the stuff I really need is always in this compartment. So I don't have to worry about not having it. It always just stays right here. So next, we're in the cockpit area. Like I just showed you, I've got this coin box. That's what they were talking about with this coin box. They were talking about how it gets water in it and it doesn't drain that well. That's good to know. So I'm gonna have to sweep this out sometime, get all this water out of here. Yeah, so this is a coin box I bought. It's a bassboatseats.com coin box. Right now, I suggest it when it doesn't rain, because it was amazing when me and Cass were just up on Lake Erie. We put all of our stuff in here, and it was really, really nice to have. That way we didn't have to worry about any of our stuff going in other compartments, any of it breaking, not knowing where all of it was. So I loved having a coin box right here, except for I'm gonna have to put some type of gasket on this, just some type of sealant type thing, probably just like a gasket or a rubber sealer. That way no water gets inside of this every time it rains from now on. So that's that. We'll move over to what I just did this winter to my dash. I don't think I made any video at all about that so far. So this will be the first time for you guys, I believe, seeing it other than in videos. So this is my new dash setup. I really like it so far. I'm thinking about changing around my graphs a little bit to kind of go a little bit better of what I found with fishing. You'll see in a minute up front. But I ordered all the Bass Boat Technologies dash panels and the gauge relocation panels. So I'm sure you can probably see this. I've got my RPM gauge right up here on the left-hand side. It was originally up here on the dash where my graph is. So I relocated out here. I completely pulled out my speedometer because it did not work, first of all. Second, I've got speed on my graph, so I didn't care about having all that. I've got my 3 important gauges right here, which is my trim, my water pressure, and my fuel. And then over here, of course, it's just a brand new panel that has my ignition in it, my live well timer, and then my Mercury. I don't exactly know what this is. It's just the information panel. It shows my hours, it shows my RPMs, all that fun stuff. Up here is the Bass Boat Technologies single graph mount, and this just has one single Garmin 9.3 SV UHD up here. Great graph. I love it on here. I love this setup. It's nice having it right in front of my face. That way I don't have to look off to the side on like a ram mount, which was what used to be on here, to look on it every single time I need to look at my graph. Nice having it right here so I can just keep on driving, looking forward the entire time while looking at my graph. So moving on to the front deck, this is where the magic happens when fishing. Yeah. So starting off on the left-hand side, this is where I keep all my rods and reels. Currently, there's nothing in here, just except some tools and stuff that have already been in here, just because I pull all my rods and reels out whenever I am not in my boat now, because I don't want to have to worry about possibly any water getting in there and damaging my rods, reels, or corroding them or anything. So all those come out every time I'm not fishing, so that's why there's nothing in there. Nothing special about there. I can usually store... I'll store between 10 and 12 rods in that rod locker when I'm fishing. I can store up to like 15 or 16 in there if I really need to. Right here in the center, this is just a cooler, works pretty good. So that's just the cooler. What I'm sitting on right here is the deck extension. These things don't always come with the deck extension, so it is nice to have, because when you're in a 19-foot boat, you want the most room possible in the front deck. So it's nice to have that deck extension. I never take it out, I always leave it in. I know some people who take it out a lot, but personally I use it. I like having it here. Right in front of it, in my previous boat, I had a Ranger 518, and where these two compartments in that boat, they were all one that flipped up. I absolutely loved it. Since this doesn't have that though, I stored all my terminal tackle, all my Plano boxes, all that in the center in that boat, and then all my soft plastics off to the side. Since this just has one small compartment up here, I kind of had to change around how I do all my storage. So I've got all my soft plastics and stuff like that up here. I've got Bass Mafia money bags up here, some 1-gallon tubs up in the front to store all my like Kayak style paddle tail swim baits. So that's pretty much all I store in here. I also have some spinner baits in here, spinner bait box in here. So that's how I store all my soft plastics in this boat. It actually works really well now that I have kind of everything figured out with how I need to store it in here and what kind of boxes I need to put everything in. Lastly is the main compartment I store all my tackle in over here. Over here I've got all my Plano 3700 boxes, and I think I've got two 3600 boxes, and I just stack them up here in the type of way that I fish them. So I've got all my swim baits. I got deep divers, mid divers, shallow divers, square bills, my Rapala box, my lipless crankbait, jerk baits, top water, jigs and chatter baits, terminal tackle, and frogs. So that's just the way I tend to put them. I rank them from the deepest diving down to the shallowest most of the time, and I just store them in there. I've got another box up here with just some essential stuff in it. I've got some lighters. I've got, I think that's fish attractant. I've got a marker buoy. air horn, just some stuff like that, just in case I need it. I also store my paddle in here. I store my YOLO tech stick in here, any line or anything that I need in there. Usually I put my scale in there, but I thought it would be fine in my coin box, which it wasn't. And then also up here in the front, I've got my live scope LVS 32, which I think it's called the GLS 10 box, mounted up on the side, and I have all my navigation lights in here too. So lastly, we're in the front of the boat where all my good electronics are. Right here, I've ended up going with a more sturdy mount. This is a Bass Boat Technologies dual graph mount right here. And it's got, right here's a Garmin 93 SV, and then I've got a Garmin 106 up here too. And both of these are hooked up, they're networked together, and I've got a Garmin live scope on my Ultrex. None of this was on the boat when I bought the boat. It had a Fortrex, I believe, or it had a Maxim, one of the two on the front. And I think it just had an old like Garmin or a Humminbird 998 or something that didn't even work on the front. So I put in all these. I repowder coated my trolling motor tray when I just had my deck redone. And yeah, I love this graph mount. I love the setup up here. It looks good, it works good, it fits my needs perfectly. The one thing I will say, I've got my 10-inch right here hooked up to my live scope, and that's what I use all the time for live scope. I found that I don't even really use my 9 that much at all. Most of the time it stays off unless I'm somewhere like when we were just up on Lake Erie. I had maps pulled up on this one, or side imaging. That way I could just kind of see what's what down there and verify what's on live scope to this. And I could also follow contours and stuff on Lake Erie when we're out there fishing deep. Ultrex, love it. So like I mentioned, thinking about changing up my graph mount or graph setup a little bit. Since I really don't use my 9.3 up here that much, I'm thinking about putting this one back with my console and putting them side by side. So dual graphs at the console with just my 106 up here. And then depending on how long I keep this boat, maybe having a Humminbird with the Mega 360 on it on my Ultrex. Just a thought, probably won't happen, but it's just something I've thought about because I don't use this one at all up here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So that is my new boat tour. I've had it now, like I said, about a year. I'm thinking I'm at least having it for the rest of this year. From then on, who knows what happens, because like a lot of people tell me, I go through boats like crazy. And this, I think this is my 7th boat I've had. Is that right? Is it 6 or 7? Okay, she's lost track. Actual bass boats, I think this is 6. If you count like John boats too, I think it's 8, actually, because I forgot the one I had when I was 16. So I've had a lot of boats, but this thing is set up pretty much perfectly for what I use it for now. So we'll see what happens with it. But hopefully you enjoyed this little boat tour of my boat that I'm running right now. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video.